first time this season, looking to keep that record perfect as they welcome in the Alabama Crimson Tide. Courtney Lau alongside three-time All-SEC setter Missy Whittemore. And last week, we got to see Tiara Caesar play as a Florida Gator for the first time, and it did not disappoint. She can do everything.
When Caesar joined Florida, there was no question she would be a high flyer with a fast arm and plenty of pop that would inject immediate offense into this Florida lineup. No surprise here at Auburn that she led the team in the first weekend out in the kill category. But Mary Wise has really been most impressed with her commitment to be good in every area of the game. She has owned the blocking role, absolutely dominating at the left pin with her physical presence. But her skill set does not stop there. She affects the game in so many ways, even dangerous from the back row at the service line. She's had some pretty good matches in this arena in the past, but never wearing the orange and blue. This will be her first night playing in Gainesville as a Gator.
It was fun to watch her play against Auburn. She actually had a career-high 5 blocks in that first game against the Tigers. But yeah, her numbers from last week just very solid. Alabama, meanwhile, has a ton of new faces. 2 of those who are making an immediate impact are actually underclassmen, Kennedy McElroy and Kendall Ray.
The sophomore Kennedy McElroy joins the Tide by way of transfer, and she brings a powerful punch. Coach Devine said her play was a huge bright spot last weekend, along with that of the freshman, Kendall Ray, who's actually leading the Tide in kills per set right now.
8 new faces on this roster for Coach Lindsay Devine in her second season leading the Crimson Tide, and she loves how the approach that they're bringing to this group. It's very open eye every single day. They are open to anything she wants to do. Meanwhile, the veteran Mary Wise in her 30th season as the head coach of the Florida Gators. In all those years, she's never seen anything like the preseason and the offseason we had with the pandemic, but her squad is deep this year and ready to rock in Gainesville. Alabama will get to serve first, and it will be Kaylee Thomas, number 20 in that crimson jersey, starting things off. Tiara Caesar with the first touch on it. They go to the right side, and that's Holly Carlton.
6'7" left-hander at the right pin, starting things off nice for Florida. And you may notice at her shoulder there in the front row, Nadie Okamore is lined up at middle blocker for Florida. Darielle King out with an injury.
It'll be a bump set to Kennedy McElroy, who we were telling you about. But yeah, Missy, that is a huge loss for the Florida Gators, as Darielle King, who worked so hard to earn that spot, she is out with an injury, not available for the Florida Gators today. So we will see that freshman out of Texas, Okamore, in the middle, number 6 in the white jersey. There's Darielle King. She's got a boot on her left foot. And you hate to see that because she had put so much work in to be a starter.
Yeah, this isn't even more heartbreaking. Injuries are always heartbreaking, but when you're a 5th-year senior and you've been waiting your turn and you have been such a great player for Florida off the bench, she has injected some great enthusiasm for this team. She's really the emotional leader of this Gator team, so she's going to be greatly missed.
I think the big thing is, though, that Florida is a really deep team this year. They have depth that can step up.
And Mary Wise said that's so key, because not only are you dealing with the typical volleyball injuries this year, but with contact tracing and all we've seen with COVID, you better be deep this year if there's ever a year to be deep.
McElroy takes another swing from the right side. Carlton, it's the battle of the right sides, and the opposite for Florida. Holly Carlton will win.
We saw Holly Carlton with that big rip over the block early, right into the center of the court, and a little finesse play that time from Holly Carlton, the redshirt senior.
Paula Sarame has taken over the libero duties for the Florida Gators. Good dig by Thomas. Going to their strength, McElroy, but that swing will be wide.
You see why coach is so big on McElroy, though. You see the power, that left arm there, swinging at the right pin. She really has a bright future for Alabama. That swing just wide. And this is an Alabama team who is starting 4 transfers and 2 freshmen who are going to be tested against one of the biggest blocks in the SEC tonight. And it can take them a little bit to settle in and feel their way around this big block.
Well, this is not the first time they've faced some big competition, too. Alabama had to open the season with a very talented Missouri team. They lost both of those matches last weekend. And now you have to play the defending SEC co-champion, the Florida Gators, who have Tiara Caesar now.
Big rip from Caesar. Notice how fast they're running that ball to the left pin. For Alabama, first time ever that they've opened their season against back-to-back ranked opponents. And with 8 newcomers, that is a tall order.
Here's Holly Carlton. Riley Fisbeck tries to dump it over. Gators are there to pull it up, but it is going to be a point for Alabama.
Serving for the Crimson Tide, number 19, Kendall Ray.
Riley Fisbeck up there, that setter at 6'1", has the ability to be really offensive for them.
Kendall Ray, a freshman out of Highland Park, Texas. You won't see her come off the floor. She'll play 6 rotations. It's a heavy load for a freshman, but she's up to the challenge. Caesar just long on the swing.
One of the things that's been so good about Caesar early in the season is that she's not only killing the ball, but she's doing it very efficiently. So we haven't seen her miss a lot.
It'll be a bump set from Sarame over to Caesar. Fisbeck will go behind her, connecting with Aaliyah Wells off of 1 foot.
Really nice swing there by Aaliyah Wells, one of the familiar faces on this team, and yet she's only a sophomore. Look how comfortable she is off 1 foot behind as she chases that one down. And that comes with a little extra work, as Riley Fisbeck, the setter, has put some extra time in the gym this past week trying to create a strong connection with her middles. Still so new to this team, they're working on some rhythm.
Marley Monserrat will send the set to the back row, and Thayer Hall just explodes from middle back.
And Mary Wise told us this week, we don't want our back row attack to be a bailout situation only. We want it to be a play you can't ignore. And it's hard to ignore that swing from Thayer Hall out of the backcourt. You're going to notice that one.
Fisbeck will try to set the back row. The placement a little bit off. Here comes Tiara Caesar. And the Florida block prevails with Lauren Dooley up there at the net.
Lauren Dooley, the best blocker from a season ago, returning for Florida. She had over 1 block per set. That's a really big number for an individual. There's teams out there that struggle to get more than 1 block per set. Lauren Dooley is certainly a physical presence at the net.
Playing to 25 here, you have to win by 2. It is best 3 out of 5. That's Abby Marjama on the attack for Alabama, but point Gators.
Marjama, another player who found her way to Alabama via transfer from UC Irvine, where she was Big West Freshman of the Year 2 years ago. And coach said what they liked about her is that she carried such a big load for their team and that she handled the load so well that night after night she could still put up big numbers. And that's a role they hope that she can play for Alabama, a 6 rotation outside hitter.
Dooley attacking on the slide. 3 ball coming back to Florida. And Marley Monserrat didn't have much choice, but perfect just to slam it down over the net.
Sly play at the net there by Marley Monserrat, who's, you never doubt Marley Monserrat's athleticism. Her athleticism just shines in plays like that, where you see how she can just go up and get balls.
Fisbeck with the bump set out to Marjama. Good save by Ellie McKissick. That's Thayer Hall. Ray out of the back row. Gets through the double block.
Florida getting some help there from the right side from Holly Carlton coming up alongside Dooley, but doesn't slow Ray down. What a nice quality swing. And Mary Wise said one thing about Alabama. They take healthy swings and they challenge the block up high. She said, we're going to have to be strong up top, and it's plays like that that will determine the outcome of this one.
Well, they were able to take a set off of Missouri last week in their season opening match. Ended up losing that first match in 4 sets.
Speaking of healthy swings, there's another one from Tiara Caesar, that time out of the back row as she gets a piece of the Alabama block that time.
Caesar had to sit out all last year because if you transfer within the SEC, you do have to sit out a year. And Mary Wise told us that she made everybody in that gym better, not even playing in a match, just playing in practice last year. Marjama gets the set for Nealon, and you'll see Megan Nealon, number 10 in the crimson jersey. She's playing on the back row this year because Riley Fisbeck has taken over those setting duties. But remember, she has been a full-time setter at Alabama for most of her career.
There's a good look at Nealon, and Coach said it's such a luxury for us to have her out there in those 3 rotations because they can actually do some things very creative in their lineup and flip her into a quick setting role if they want some more attackers at the net. So she gives them all kinds of options.
Fisbeck rotates to the back row for Alabama, meaning they will have 3 attackers in the front row. There's one of them, Marjama. Easy block for the Gators.
Nadie Okamore here, forced into a starting role in the absence of Darielle King, who's out with an injury. And you see how excited her teammates are for her as she's having some success here early.
Bump set is readjusted to by Marjama on the right side. Thayer Hall. What an up! But Alabama was ready, and it was Chase Campbell in the middle.
And I think the awkward swing there by Thayer Hall is based on the timing of the offense. Florida's trying to pick up the speed of the set to the left pin, and so there's times where the hitters are going before the ball is even set. You really have to trust that connection. We've seen a few misses between Thayer and Marley last weekend, and they continue to work out those wrinkles. Mary Wise said to us, usually by this time in the year, we're kind of clicking on all cylinders, but we still feel like we're in preseason form with what we've been dealt this year.
Hall, it was really tight to the net. Alabama will benefit with McElroy and Campbell over there.
Mary Wise said one of the things that Florida could improve on was their decision-making out of system. Well, there's an example of that. Very much an out-of-system play. You just want to hang a ball somewhere out near the left pin, but you certainly don't want to hang it up that tight. That was advantage Alabama, and credit the Tide, who's tied things up here at 11 for smothering that ball that was just put in a bad position. This group of newcomers from Alabama has not flinched on their first trip into Gainesville so far.
And Lindsey Devine told us they've brought a new energy to this program, and they're just open-eyed to everything she wants to do, and she loves that mentality.
That's going to be a big rip from the left side by Ray, the freshman, who is doing a lot in her young career here for the Tide. And what you'll see happen is it hits the block, off the block, it hits the antenna. So that's out of bounds Florida. Another point for Alabama.
Alabama leading by 1. Powerful serve. Monserrat sets up Thayer Hall for the powerful swing.
And that's what that fastball to the left side can look like when all the stars line up. Nadie Okamore jumps. You see how she holds the middle blocker there, Chase Campbell from Alabama. And before you know it, that ball is in Thayer Hall's hand and to the floor very quickly.
The connection between Hall and Monserrat was a little bit off in that second match against Auburn last week, but Mary Wise told us she didn't even have to say anything to Thayer Hall. She was right back at it in practice the next day.
She said Thayer Hall was like a basketball player who maybe had missed a few shots and just couldn't wait to get the ball back in her hand. And Thayer Hall comes from a very basketball family, so I know she can appreciate that analogy. But yeah, she doesn't have to be motivated. Thayer Hall is a very self-motivated player, no doubt about that.
Tight pass, Fishbeck able to handle it and send it out to McElroy, but too long. Three straight points for Florida. McElroy with the tip. Out of the back row comes Thayer Hall, and the Florida Gators are the first to 15 points here in the opening. Since 1984, the Gators have won all 47 of the previous meetings over Alabama. The Crimson Tide looking for their first win, their first set win since 2008, but this Tide team is certainly fighting.
I tell you, there are no moral victories, but you have to feel like a set win would feel like they have moved a mountain if they could get on the scoreboard here early.
Courtney Lyle, Missy Whittemore with you. Just here in the opening set, we are playing best 3 out of 5. Alabama has pushed Florida the whole way. Holly Carlton, what a great dig by Madeline St. Germain, but can't control it in the court.
Credit that first pass there by Florida's libero in the orange jersey, Paula Sarame. That was a well-served ball from Alabama, and she just held on to get a good platform on that and control first contact to keep Florida in system there.
Bailey Thomas with a nice pass up to the front, and they're able to run their middle, Aaliyah Wells.
And again, that middle connection for Alabama making a big jump this weekend. As you see, they're just looking more and more confident. And I like the idea of Alabama win in system, go to the middle. It's going to be their opportunity for one-on-one swings, as Florida at this point not bringing help from either antenna.
Service error will give an easy point to Florida. You see Kennedy McElroy will rotate out.
McElroy, one of those top spin servers for Alabama that's been very good for them this year. And so they're okay with a few errors from her. They want her to go back there and swing confidently because she also has the ability to run points. And that's what Florida's hoping for from Holly Carlton right here, who has a really interesting serve because of her height at 6'7". Realize how high she is contacting the ball. And so it's coming at you at a different angle when you're a passer.
They're wiping up a little moisture on the Alabama side of the court, and now Holly Carlton, who just picked up her second ace of the season, will serve again. Wells really had to chase that down. Monserrat calls on Caesar, and it was a good call to make.
I tell you, it's the swing from Caesar that scores the point, but early in that rally, you're going to get another look here at the set back to Caesar as she goes straight down the line. If you remember early in that rally, it was Caesar all alone at the left antenna who was able to get a touch block on that swing from Aaliyah Wells behind. She got that touch block, which allows Florida to transition. She's blocking so well at the left pin that Florida can afford to leave her there alone at times. And, you know, Lauren Dooling didn't even close there, and it was still a good transition for Florida.
Thayer Hall from the back row tips over the block, and Florida has now scored 4 straight points.
Really smart swing by Thayer Hall as she points to her bench, and perhaps some information coming to her from someone over there, and a little thank you nod as she points to her teammates.
Alabama is going to call a timeout here as Florida is up 6. The schedule looks different this year. We're all excited that we're just playing 8 matches. Big swing from Kendall Ray.
That big Florida block there waiting on her, but credit the youngster for tooling the block.
And now Ray will go back to serve. Playing to 25, you have to win by 2. has found a lot of success in the back row today.
It's a really nice option for Florida as they're in a two-hitter rotation. The setter's in the front row. They send the middle blocker behind. You know opponents are thinking about Tiara Caesar out there at the left pin, and it just leaves an alley right down the middle that Florida is taking full advantage of.
Thayer Hall with 5 kills, hitting .400. And the kill comes from the left side from Alabama. Abby Marjama, the transfer from UC Irvine.
Marjama has the ability to put up huge numbers, and look what happens here. Florida leaves her too much line. She's in a great rotation here as she's matched up against Florida's setter. It's obviously going to be their smallest blocker of the night, Marley Montre, up there at just 6 foot. I say just 6 foot, but on these teams, that's a small player. So that's a nice matchup for Marjama.
Monserrat, her back row weapon this time is Tiara Caesar. It's wide.
But Florida continues to feed the beast as they continue to go to the pins and then using their pin attackers from the back row. We talked to Mary Wise about set distribution. Do you want more balls to your middle? And she said over the course of the long season, absolutely, we have to be more diverse. But she said right now the emphasis is really on the pins and on developing that back row game.
Easy shot from Thayer Hall past that block. Kill number 6.
Great job by Thayer Hall in her junior season now of really seeing the court, playing like an upperclassman, because she's not just using the off-speed as a bailout, she's using off-speed to score right now, and that's super frustrating to a defense.
Yeah, Thayer Hall, a 2-time All-American, 2-time All-SEC selection. And it's dumped over on 2 by Riley Fisbeck.
Serving for the Crimson Tide, number 3, Riley Fisbeck.
Riley Fisbeck, coach said, is one of those players who dissects a scouting report. And when you do that, you're aware of openings in the defense and when is the best time to be offensive. And she picks her time well.
Has really adjusted to this Alabama team after 4 years at Texas. Has figured out her new role in Tuscaloosa. And Thayer Hall, another smart shot, this time tooling the block.
Another good Florida pass there. That time it was Ellie McKissick who just rotates out. We've seen McKissick and Sarame both spend time in that libero jersey, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't trade it all year. Both of those players so talented across the back row.
So Alabama will use its second and final timeout here in this opening set. Florida leads it 23-18. The Gators just 2 points away from taking the opening set. When we mentioned Florida
kills after her 21 performance the first night, incredible.
And no Leah Edmond, no problem. I'm sure Kentucky would love to have her back, though. Don't worry. But the Kentucky Wildcats 4-0, and at the top of the SEC standings with a couple of teams there. Texas A&M also 4-0. The sad thing is we will not get to see Kentucky and Florida play in the fall. Meaning
so
that anticipation
in the spring.
Yeah, I was going to say the anticipation better build for the spring for that one. Florida's got set point.
On your feet, Gators fans, it's set point.
Marley Monserrat with a little extended time to bounce it around and think about it. Of course, Marley, the third Monserrat sister to don the Gator jersey.
Swing from Marjama. And Monserrat sends it to the middle, and Nadie Okamore seals it. Florida takes the opening set 25-18.
Nadie Okamore, new-faced, but guess what? It's the same outcome as we've seen many times in Gainesville. It's the Gators who go up 1-0. kills from Thayer Hall in one set any night, but even better when it's combined with only one error. That is an impressive hitting efficiency from the left pin, and then no surprise, it's the other two pin players, Holly Carlton and Tiara Caesar, with 3 kills apiece, as Florida continues to spread it from pin to pin and then sprinkle in a little middle. But realize the middle of the court right now is being dominated by that back row attack from Florida, as they continue to really use that as a key part of their offense.
Alabama showed us some bright spots, though, in that first set. What did you like best that you saw from the Crimson Tide?
Well, you know, I thought they swung with so much confidence, and that was one of the things that we talked to Coach about. She said, you know what, the keys for us are to swing confidently, and she said just compete. And I liked the middle of that set when Alabama took the lead there and put a lot of pressure on Florida. You felt like this is a group, so many newcomers that just come in here with absolutely nothing to lose, and I liked the way they competed throughout that entire first set.
I asked Lindsey Devine, what's the difference in year 2? And she says, I still have to be consistently myself every single day. That is so important to gain trust, to make sure I bring the core values of our program to these players every day. And she sees it paying off with how they're responding.
She talked about trust and integrity. I'd say those are pretty important core values, and that she will definitely build a solid program with that as the foundation.
Same story here in set number 2. We're playing to 25. You have to win by 2.
Pass a little too tight there by Florida. They draw Marley Monserrat into the net. Credit Madeline St. Germain, wearing the libero jersey for Alabama. She's the one that put that ball in play.
Germain serve just long.
Serving for the Gators, number 20, Thayer Hall.
And so it'll be Thayer Hall's turn, who, as we told you, only has 1 attacking error and is hitting .500. 7 kills for her. She only had 4 kills in their last match. Aaliyah Wells with just a punch in the middle.
When the pass is there for Alabama, the connection in the middle is working. As we said, it's a one-on-one opportunity for Alabama. And of course, they're going to go with that freshman who's been inserted in the lineup for Florida, Nadie Okamore, there all alone. And a great job by Wells, though, swinging cross-body to get around that block.
Yeah, if they can get a good pass, Wells is your woman. She's hitting .600. Holly Carlton finishes it.
And for Florida, there's an example of good decisions out of system. There's a shank pass, second contact, credit Tiara Caesar. She doesn't just throw a ball up in the middle of the floor. You've got a left-handed attacker over there at the right pin. Feed her a ball and get a swing in an out-of-system situation. That's exactly what Florida does.
Is there anything Tiara Caesar cannot do?
Right, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. As I was saying that, I was like, wow, that contact, second contact, Tiara Caesar, great play.
And gets through the block, Tiara Caesar.
Tiara Caesar showing some range there, turns on that one down the line, is able to get it through that big Alabama block.
And we've got a change at libero. We kind of expected to see this. It has been a battle in Florida's gym all season. Ellie McKissick in the libero jersey now.
Yeah, and for those of you who maybe don't watch a lot of volleyball, you don't have to wait until a new match to change the libero jersey. You can actually change between sets. So you can see multiple liberos on the same night, not within a single set, but from set to set, that jersey can change hands.
McKissick, just a freshman out of Florida. Her sister is the setter, one of the setters at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, her sister, not just a setter at Georgia Tech, but the reigning ACC Setter of the Year. And Georgia Tech just had a fantastic fall, had the opportunity to call their match. And when their offense is clicking, that is a fun team to watch.
Yeah, they've already finished up their schedule as the ACC started a little bit earlier than the SEC did. We'll get to see everybody in the spring, though. Nice connection between Marley Monserrat and Lauren Dooley.
And Florida continues to really use their middles right now in system. I like that early in the match. Build confidence. Give them opportunities to be successful. Because right now, the focus for Florida's middles is to be blockers. Florida's middles are traditionally great blockers. And Mary Wise says, we are asking them to block the balls you are supposed to block. And she calls them run stoppers. And that's exactly what they have the ability to be.
Missy, I feel like every match, we got to see Florida in their last match against Auburn. They've worked in the middle just a little bit more, taking a step with that position.
I think you're right, Courtney, absolutely.
McKissick sends it up, and Monserrat can tack on a kill.
Beautiful pass by McKissick, because when your setter's in the front row, you don't want it to be dangerously tight, but when you pass it tight enough to the net to where Marley Monserrat has the ability to be offensive, now it's one more weapon for the Gators.
Caesar on the serve. And here comes Ray. Thayer Hall off the block. A bump set all the way across the court to Thayer Hall.
How about Paula Sarame? She cleared everybody out. Great communication. She said, this one's mine. And then she took care of it and hung a very hittable ball up to the left pin. That's Florida again. Out of system, good decision, results in a point.
Serving for the Crimson Tide, number 3, Riley Fisman.
Again, Alabama has come out and kept this very close. We saw the same thing in the first set, that fight from the Crimson Tide. This is McElroy. Marjama. Abby Marjama, the junior out of California.
Confident swings. That's what I'm really liking from this Tide group. Not afraid to challenge this big Florida block, who, by the way, has led the SEC in blocking for the past 3 seasons.
Caesar has to readjust. A diving save from St. Germain. And then she's attacked again. Another touch for the libero, St. Germain. Caesar, back row power.
Wow. And from the time that ball leaves her hand until it hits the floor, amazingly fast. This is a huge rip coming out of the back court. And notice the lane that Caesar is using. She's now moved to her right out of the back row, and she's splitting the left front and middle front blocker for Alabama. So Florida running a fast attack out of the back row, but also running different lanes out of the back row. Good to see Riley Fisher back out on the court for Florida, as we've seen her serve here tonight. She had been dealing with injury, and we didn't see her in the first weekend of play.
Yeah, so this is going to be a challenge. And Missy, I've got to say, on that replay we just showed, I wondered if Tiara Caesar's foot hit the 3-meter line. Yeah, Tiara Caesar's foot, when she takes off, she can land in front of the line after she contacts the ball.
That angle, absolutely, it was behind.
The challenge is unsuccessful. Point.
Tell you what, great ball placement by Marley Monserrat. She knows where she has to hang that ball to allow her players to not be worried about the line, but just to go rip it. And that was a perfectly placed ball by Marley Monserrat.
And Tiara Caesar loves to go rip it, Missy.
Yes, she does. If I could jump like Tiara Caesar, I think I'd love to go rip it.
Yeah, no kidding. Marjama gets caught up in the net a little bit and still gets a point for Alabama.
Now serving for the Crimson Tide, number 6.
Marjama just not shying away. Continues to challenge that block, going high hands, high hands, high hands. And I tell you what, that can wear a blocker down.
As you said, Missy, she got a lot of touches when she was playing at UC Irvine. They were throwing a lot of balls her way, so she has so much experience on how to handle anything out of system. Man, Thayer Hall is the hot hand. That's her 9th kill.
I love that she and Marley Monserrat are just absolutely erasing any memory of a misconnection a week ago, and they have found their groove.
Second set here in Gainesville, playing to 25. You have to win by 2. There's Campbell in the middle. Caesar on the hustle. Free ball to the tie. They run it again. And Campbell's shot is wide.
Coach Devine said, we have to remember sometimes that Chase Campbell is just a freshman. And so they're making some adjustments to their set in order to help her head towards success. And the adjustment they're making is that they're raising the ball just a little. They feel like she can out-jump people, and she can kind of carve the edges of the block if they give her a little more time. She just missed wide there, so they change it up this time after a couple sets to the middle, hold that middle blocker, and send it back to McElroy.
Serving for the Crimson Tide.
McElroy, a sophomore out of Houston, Texas, started her career at FAU. Only played a season there, and now she is a member of Alabama's roster. Lindsey Devine was so excited to talk about her that she stopped me from asking about someone else to say, yes, we'll get to them, but I need to talk about McElroy. Knotted at 10. St. Germain will call everybody off. Ray with the swing. Carlton. In the middle they go to Okamore.
Nady Okamore, part of that triple Dallas threat in the middle for the Florida Gators. All 3 of their middles hail from the Dallas area. Nady, the newest addition to that triple threat. And with Darielle King out with injury, she finds herself in a starting role and shining like a star.
Mary Wise first saw her playing at a club tournament, and it happened to be her very first club tournament. She was really a basketball player until then, but she saw the potential.
Number 10, Megan Nealon.
Here's some potential for success in the SEC. Number 13, Aaliyah Wells for Alabama. We feel like she's one of the veterans on this team because she's a familiar face, but she's only a sophomore, and she played through injury last year. And Coach said we would watch her land time and time again. She was wincing. She said she put so much work in the weight room in the offseason, and she is so strong now, and that it's great to see her playing healthy.
Yeah, and Missy, not just any injury. She broke her leg, and they put a rod in her leg.
Yeah.
Ironically, she's the second player in this match with a rod in their leg. Tiara Caesar also has one.
And Mary Wise sang her praises in terms of her rehab. She said she was always ahead of schedule in rehab because of the work she put in. Mary Wise called it the lonely hours, when you're the one in rehab without any teammates. And both of those ladies credit the work they put in to be able to play this season.
Yeah, I mean, look at Wells, number 13 in Crimson, coming off with 1 foot there. She is so confident, such a weapon. Holly Carlton gets the kill.
Point, Florida. Now serving for the Gators, number 23, Ellie McKissick.
Holly Carlton has been referred to often as the constant stabilizer for Florida because she always is just able to come through so consistently for Florida, and she does so much for them. She has the ability to play so many positions.
An ace for Ellie McKissick. That's the first ace for McKissick of her career.
Mary Wise said some freshmen just don't know enough to be nervous, that they're kind of fearless. And she said, I would say that about Ellie McKissick, but she said, I think that's just how she'll always be. It has nothing to do with being a freshman. She's just fearless.
You definitely want that in your libero.
By the way, did we mention that Tiara Caesar is a triple threat coming into this match? Do you see the blocking there in left front? It's not just offense, it's the defense. It's what she's doing across the back court. She's so committed and bought into wanting to be a great 6-rotation player. And so being in the gym with Thayer Hall, that's a pretty good person to train with if you want to learn how to be a great 6-rotation player.
Kendall Ray gets a kill for Alabama, trailing by 1. It's been close the whole way here in set number 2. Alabama showed that same fight in the opening set, but it was the Gators taking it 25-18. And Ray gets the ace.
4 aces now on the season for Kendall Ray, who's been very good from the service line. Talk about 6 rotation players. Here's a freshman getting it done for Alabama.
Caesar comes inside to take her swing. They push it out to Marjama, and even though the set was a little bit off, she finds a way to score. Alabama, the first to 15 here in the
set. You've got Riley Fisbeck, Abby Marjama, Kendall Ray is a true freshman for them. But so many newcomers that it's easy to confuse all these new faces. And so try bringing 8 newcomers into your gym during a pandemic. Hello, we've got to meet one another. We've got to make connections off the court and on the court. That's a tall order for this Alabama team.
Yeah, that's why it's been so important that these young women have been flexible and they've been wanting to put in that extra work. Riley Fisbeck is a great example of that, this setter for Alabama. She has come in and stayed after practice and pulled other players in, and they want to work hard to be good. Ball tips out of the back row. St. Germain is there. Caesar, nice angle.
Yeah, really nice cut there around the block. And I'll tell you, credit Alabama right now, because Florida getting all kinds of block touches, but Alabama covering their hitters so well. This is Florida's 4th, 5th attempt to get that kill. Alabama making them work.
Caesar, 7 kills, 5 digs. Excuse me, 8 kills, 5 digs.
And you just said moments ago, Courtney, nice angle. We'll guess what? This one straight down the line. She's got the power, but she's got the range. The block just a little inside, and the ball set very nicely by Marley Montre. Great placement out to the antenna in order for Caesar to swing down the line.
Spent her first 2 seasons of her college career at Georgia before transferring mid-year to Florida. Was an all-SEC selection, had to sit out last season. I don't know if it was harder for her to sit out or for Mary Wise to know that she was sitting out on her bench last season.
That had to be difficult, to watch that every day in practice and think, oh, I would like to insert that into the match. But boy, did she make Florida better to train with Tiara Caesar in your gym. She said that Thayer Hall and Tiara Caesar are one another's greatest assets, to be able to train against each other and push one another.
Monterey being really aggressive. Alabama can be too. You can see how Abby Marjama can just get stuff done.
And that's Alabama out of system. This is Marjama off of a set, by the way, from Aaliyah Wells. Maybe they're not out of system. Aaliyah Wells looking like a setter there as she sends one to the outside. And Marjama just doing a great job working around that Florida block.
Warren Dooley on the slide. Marjama has got the angle shot too. Watch out, Tiara Caesar.
Can I just say hats off to Aaliyah Wells and digging some balls up in middle back. The middle blocker with an assist and some nice digs to go along with it.
Florida calls a timeout here as Alabama on top, 18-17. Well, tomorrow morning we get you set for... Aaliyah Wells, number 13 in crimson, is one of those players that has been super scrappy. Overpass. Saved by the Gators. McKissick laid out for it. Here's an in-system look, and Tiara Caesar will tip over that block.
That was a great choice on the part of Tiara Caesar, because the set is just a little low, maybe a little tight. And rather than hauling off and trying to take a big rip, just place the ball, and that's exactly what Caesar does.
Kendall Ray trying to come out of the back row and hits it into the net.
Coach Devine said one of the big steps for Ray in her game is her development of seeing the block and swinging around the block. How can she learn? And I think one of the ways is out of the back row, how they're using her to give her some room to swing against those big Florida blockers.
Caesar swings out of the back row. McKissick slides in for the save. Thayer Hall, did she get that in? Wow.
I really like the way McKissick comes sliding in, though, defensively, and the way she just scoops the pass up. She puts a little extra air under it. Do you see this? To give everybody time to transition, because it was a play that everyone was bunched up, and she scoops it up. The setter has time to get underneath it. Thayer Hall, you lose her in the picture because she has time to get off the court and take a huge approach. That's exactly.
Back and forth. No giant leads for either team, and some scrappy play on both sides.
Great ball distribution by both of these setters. You take a look at the stat sheets, and it's just not one player with big numbers, but they're using all of their weapons.
St. Germain gets underneath it, and that allows them to go outside to Marjama.
Marjama having to swing into Lauren Dooley's block here, but just absolutely does not back down. And great job trying to swing over the top of Marley Monterey. Again, Alabama really trying to use that matchup to their advantage.
Thayer Hall takes care of that block. Playing to 25 points, you have to win by 2. Florida took the opening set 25-18.
And after that swing, you can see the freshman middle blocker for Alabama, Chase Campbell, just talking to herself and looking at her left hand. Like, how can I stop that angle shot? There are just a lot of young players being thrown into the fire tonight for Alabama. And then, of course, for Florida, Nady Okamore out there in a starting role as well.
Yeah, Darielle King is injured, not available for Florida in the middle. Marjama tools the block, kill number 9.
In those rotations, when she doesn't have to swing into 6'7" Holly Carlton, she is loving getting the ball against a smaller blocker and taking every advantage of it.
Two seasons at UC Irvine, was the 2018 Big West Freshman of the Year. Thayer Hall.
Thayer Hall doing a great job just playing within herself. And you know, we talked about that second match at Auburn where there was some miscues between she and Marley Monterey, and you feel like she could take the floor tonight and try to do too much to make up, you know, to come out and prove a point, but she has really played within herself and just played such a solid match.
Now she has a season high 12 kills as she helps get a block there.
Florida has perhaps 2 of their
having a chance to do that here. Well, coming up next, the SEC Now team will have all the night scores and highlights, plus they'll have the latest football news around the conference, getting you set for tomorrow's games. Nobody covers the SEC like we do. You can see it at 9 Eastern, 8 Central following us, or you can also watch it streaming live on the ESPN app. Alabama's still not out of the second set. They can definitely go on a run here and get their first set win in Gainesville since 2000.
Florida hitting over 400 here in this current set. And last weekend at Auburn, one of the issues they seemed to have was that they came out hot in the first set both nights, but then didn't hit quite as high in efficiency in the second 2 sets. And so they would obviously like to reverse that trend, and instead of dropping in efficiency over the course of the match, they would like to increase their efficiency from set to set.
McElroy with the roll shot, just enough.
Serving for the Crimson Tide, number 9, Madeline St. Germain.
I like the way that Fisbeck chooses to go behind. The flow is headed out toward the left pin, and she just reverses the action, pushing it back to McElroy.
Nice pass from McKissick. Holly Carlton is there, dug up by Fisbeck. Free ball to the Gators. Thayer Hall now with kill number 13. And it is set point Florida.
Set point. Starting for the Gators, number 20, Thayer Hall.
Kills, 6 digs for Thayer Hall, hitting .440, a season high in kills for her.
13 kills, and we're still in set 2. Those are big numbers.
Of course, you go to Aaliyah Wells if you can.
Florida has not had much of an answer for Aaliyah Wells.
Serving for the Crimson Tide, number 10.
Really great connection that you're seeing develop between Fisbeck, one of the newcomers to this program by way of transfer, and then Aaliyah Wells. And you just know that's only going to get better. There's a scary thought.
Second set point for Florida. Caesar wins out. And Florida takes set number 2, 25-22. All out inside the O-Dome.
That is one thing Alabama does well. They play all out of the back row. We have seen a very hard play defensive performance by Alabama, and that really defines this team. It's one of their defining attributes.
McKissick stays with the libero jersey for set number 3, and she had a couple of more good digs so Thayer Hall could get it done.
Number 20, Thayer Hall.
Thayer Hall working so hard in transition to get off the court and give herself every look.
And McElroy is blocked. Okamura and Caesar there.
And from the celebration from Nadie Okamura, you see what she knows her role is on this team. Go block balls. The offense will come, but Florida's asking her to go be a ball blocker, and you see the big response when she gets the stuff there.
Mary Wise told us that she is a game changer because of how high she can play above the net. McElroy from the right side. That's kill number 4.
This just highlights the big jump of McElroy. What a great dig there by Fisbeck. And then this is an out-of-system swing that McElroy is just able to go up and get and brings the heat.
Alabama has assembled some great pieces for the future of this program. Caesar. Ooh, it's going to be tough to handle that no matter how you look at it. And then Holly Carlton gets the swing.
It was a beautiful pass, though, to start things off for Florida. You see Marley Montre able to get under it. Nice pass. Tiara Caesar doesn't find the floor, but Holly Carlton does. And Mary Wise had said, with Alabama's serving game and the healthy swings they take, will we be able to control that? And Alabama's done a great job with their healthy swings, but I will say the Florida pass so far has been very steady.
There's Kennedy McElroy, and she will rotate out.
Alabama gets another one from her before she'll have to rotate out after her 3 rotations across the front row.
So Megan Nealon comes in, moving to a back row role this year. Caesar with the tip. Nealon saves it. And Dooley is blocked. Aaliyah Wells.
It's a one-on-one opportunity for Florida, and Aaliyah Wells is victorious Great job by Leah Wells, but look at the defense we continue to see from Alabama every rally. Nealon, Kaylee Thomas, both of them great defenders out of the backcourt.
Dooley gets another opportunity, and this time can tip it past the block.
That time for Alabama, actually 2 blockers up. And so Lauren Dooley does a great job of recognizing that and just tipping to the empty spot.
And a mishandle on first contact gives an ace to Holly Carlton.
It's going to be her second ace of the match tonight.
Caesar down the line, just beautiful.
So fast, so fun. Another ball scooped up by Ellie McKissick, allowing Florida all kinds of time to get into rhythm there, but then they don't need time on offense. It's the quick ball.
Caesar with double-figure kills in every match so far this season for Florida. That drops down for the Tide.
Smart set by Fisbeck there in transition. And the defense doesn't have time to get stopped, get balanced. She just immediately goes to Aaliyah Wells, and that nice deep swing to the corner is just undefendable.
Service error.
Serving for the Gators, number 3, Tiara Caesar.
Times like that, Courtney, when the communication and the service line is so important, because some of those balls, these servers are so talented, they just can drop it on the end line. And so these passers have to be in constant communication, because the best decision can be to let a ball go. I mean, that's an automatic point for Florida just with great communication from their passers.
Yeah, it's probably better to miss long on your serve than it is to hit it in the net, because you have to make the defense make a decision.
That is exactly right. Coaches will tell you when you hit one in the net, the passers don't even have to think. At least force them to think about it. Florida doing a great job here in this third set of using the line. And that comes off of some nice setting by Marley Monserrat.
Monserrat really put in the work during quarantine. It's hard to do that by yourself, too, by the way, to practice anything volleyball related. But she found a way to do it.
Used a bounce back board, and we've talked about Florida trying to transition to a faster offense, and Mary Wise said that would depend on the development of Marley, and that she allowed the transition back into the gym to be so much smoother because of the work that she had put in. Aaliyah Wells, by the way, with another kill before she heads back to serve. She hit one corner and then she hit the other.
That's 7 kills now for Wells. And that's 16 for Thayer Hall.
And she is finding kills all over the court, just showing off her range. This one hard and deep as she goes well into the corner.
Hall is hitting .483, and Florida's other outside hitter, Tiara Caesar, is hitting .304. Pretty strong.
Those are numbers you would hope your middle blockers are hitting, not even begin to expect from your outside hitters. Sarame, beautiful dig.
Marjima tips over the Gators. Little trick-or-treat action. Which hitter was it going to? Thayer Hall is the one that gets it.
It's Thayer Hall who scoops it up and then works her way to the out.
10-5. Courtney Lyle, Missy Whittemore with you. What an exciting match we have on the Friday before Halloween, as there's an ace! Riley Fisher!
Fisher making her first appearance of the year. Had some injuries, didn't see her last weekend. And so she'll register her first ace of the 2020 season. That's one new face on the floor tonight for the Gators. And if you're just joining us, you may have noticed a number 6 in white at the net for Florida, Nadie Okamore, also a newcomer to the Florida Gators this year. And she gets the start as Darielle King out with injury.
Campbell working on the slide. That might be the best look we've seen from her.
I think it is. She looked really nice there, going behind. A little faster offense for the freshman. Realize she's a St. Petersburg native, so returns to her home state this evening.
She played pretty much every sport growing up and hated all of them. And finally, her dad said, "You're going to try volleyball." And after a couple years, just fell in love with it. And Lindsey Devine is glad that she did. Great layout from St. Germain. When you need a kill, you go back to Abby Margema.
Welcome to double digits, Abby Margema, as she has 10 now for Alabama. She is lighting it up. How about St. Germain just continuing to lay out? This Alabama defense has been relentless.
Free ball to the Crimson Tide. Fisbeck goes behind her to McElroy. So much for that Florida block.
McElroy starting to heat up, still hitting at a low efficiency, a few errors early in this match, but you can feel the confidence building.
Margema, they get a kill on the right, they get a kill on the left.
Margema is so crafty. These are the confident, healthy swings that Mary Wise was talking about. These are the swings we have to be able to control, and right now Florida not controlling those big swings from Alabama.
Alabama must win this set to extend the match. St. Germain, I love the effort we're seeing from the libero for Alabama.
Now serving for the Gators, number 21, Marley.
Their backcourt, never quits. You better not count a ball down until the whistle is blown when you're playing against the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Marley Monserrat steps back. There's St. Germain again. Caesar flying high.
She's got the jump, but sometimes it's the arm speed that just catches your eye. I mean, she comes through quick on that ball.
Margema wanted a touch. They won't get one.
And that time I think Margema swinging a little higher because she now has Holly Carlton over there at the right pin. She's obviously well aware of that. She's swinging a little higher, trying to go off that 6'7" block, but just misses.
Yeah, you can't miss Holly Carlton's block over there. She stands out.
I like the play call there for Alabama that time. They send Chase Campbell behind. We've seen McElroy, that left-handed player, swinging at the right pin for Alabama, and this time they run her right down the middle. She doesn't even have to swing. All sorts of open space there in the middle of the court. She tips one down for a point.
This is Kaylee Thomas. Carlton, she had to run all the way across the court and get ready to swing on a ball.
That's an interesting serve-receive pattern for Florida, where she has to line up, as you said, opposite of her hitting position, and so she has to put a lot of effort in just to be available, to be a strong attacker.
Doris Carter with the pass for Alabama. Off of the block, it goes, point Tide.
Serving for Alabama, number 9, Madeline St. Germain.
McElroy really settling in as this match progresses, getting better and better. And you can see why Coach stopped you on the call, Courtney, and said, wait a minute, let me tell you about McElroy, because she's got a huge upside.
There's going to be a double contact called on Florida. Please note, for Alabama, #1 in the Crimson jersey, Doris Carter has entered the match on the front row for the Crimson Tide. She's been battling at that outside hitter position. Tiara Caesar just tacked on kill #12.
After a really awkward first contact, the serve catches the net. It's the setter who makes first contact, and then they throw a ball up to the left pin. No problem for Tiara Caesar.
Playing to 25 again here in set #3. A win for Florida, and they win the match. Alabama looking for its first win of the season.
Point, Florida.
New player in the match, and Ellie McKissick goes right at her in serve receive. We'll see if she aims for Carter here again.
McElroy a little bit further in and gets around that block.
Yeah, she may have been aiming for Carter from the service line, but it's Thomas who steps in and takes it and does a really nice job of giving the setter options. And right now, if I have options, I think I'm going to McElroy, because she has been so good.
Carlton. Wells gets a second chance. Doris Carter. First time we're seeing her attack. And remember, Doris Carter has had a lot of experience. Started 24 matches last year for Alabama.
And Coach Devine said really what we're working with Doris Carter is just getting her feet there in transition. That if she can get her feet there, she definitely has the ability to challenge blocks, because power is not a problem for Doris Carter.
Yeah, she led Alabama in kills last season. Holly Carlton with the tip there. I feel like in these last 2 matches we've watched Florida, she's getting more aggressive in her attacking.
I think she's really picked up the pace. Yeah, I've seen a lot of heat on her ball. Obviously, that time she goes with the off speed, but when she's swinging, she's getting some fire on it.
Carter tries to challenge the Florida block. Not this time.
And this is point production for Florida middles the defensive way. This is what they're capable of. It's racking up points with that big block.
Timeout, Alabama.
Alabama wants to take a timeout here. Eastern 9 Central on SEC Network and the ESPN app. Gators 6 points away from taking this match. It has been a close battle all evening inside the O-Dome. Courtney Lyle, Missy Whittemore with you. Great layout from Thayer Hall. Thomas with the up. Doris Carter gets the set. And Aaliyah Wells. That's her 8th kill now.
This is a great rally by Alabama as they just stick with it. And Aaliyah Wells, that is certainly not probably the way they would draw that one up, but she will take it. Really nice defensive play again by Alabama. Kaylee Thomas, St. Germain, Nealon, all 3 of them with just solid contacts there defensively.
Alabama must win this set to extend the match. And it never went over. It'll be 4 contacts on Alabama.
Wise decision there by Tiara Caesar not to touch the ball. She could have easily touched that and reset it and given Alabama 3 more contacts, but she waits to see what it does. It bounces off the net back to Alabama. So, of course, 4 contacts is called.
Wide serve for Caesar.
Serving for Alabama, number 13, Aaliyah Wells.
And you'll see the servers change their position. You can serve from anywhere along that end line. Some servers like to stand in a certain position based on where their coach is asking them to serve. So sometimes you'll see them move based on the serve location they've been given.
Out of the back row comes Caesar. Alabama waiting on it. Free ball to the Tide. And the swing long from Marjima. A rare hitting error for Abby Marjima tonight.
And I think a little miscommunication there is Marjima and Chase Campbell both go for that ball. And so they kind of get in one another's way, and you see them talking it over there with Riley Fisbeck to try to figure out just exactly where they're going in transition.
And I love the regrouping right there. They go back outside, and Marjima drops in a shot.
Marjima definitely has a huge tool bag. We have seen her use every. Either way, these coaches will take advantage of this time for,
and it's out.
A timeout.
They're going to overturn the call and say it's out. Point for the Florida Gators.
That's what I thought the replay showed. I have to say, in real time, I did not guess that. I thought for sure in real time that it was in. So interesting. I am glad I don't have to make these calls.
Mary Wise will have 2 challenges left unless we go to a 5th set. She'll get an additional 1. Props to this SEC officiating crew, too. Lori Obriza is the replay official. She has been very quick tonight.
Super efficient.
Point, Alabama.
Man, watch out, Abby Marjima.
Serving for the Crimson Tide, number 3, Riley Fisbeck.
Marjima now has 12 kills on the match, hitting just under 200. But she's taken 36 swings, more than any other Alabama player.
We've seen the weapons that Alabama has. What is the next step for them?
They talked about the fact that they needed to improve the connection between their setter and their middles. I think they've made huge strides in that area tonight, particularly with Aaliyah Wells, who has more experience. And I think they're still figuring out how they want to involve Chase Campbell in their offense. And I think they don't want to involve her too much right now because they don't want to overload her. So I think just continuing to smooth out those connections. The back row attack might be a piece of the puzzle for Alabama as well. We've seen Florida incorporate that.
Okamore gets a block. It is match point Florida. Marjima dug up by McKissick, and the Gators were in the net. Still match point for Florida.
And I'm going to